Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity, the left's day of reckoning. Robert Mueller's testimony on Wednesday was a disaster for the Democrats, but it was also a crushing blow to the mainstream media who had been pushing the ridiculous Russia collusion narrative for years. Watch this.
We may not have won the battle of impeachment, but we're going to win the war of putting him in jail, whatever we have to do. And we're not going to necessarily play fair.
Mueller's appearance on Capitol Hill yesterday was not quite what Democrats were hoping for and did not make impeachment any more likely.
It's fair to say that Democrats did not have the day they wanted, that Bob Mueller was not the witness they were hoping for, that there wasn't some new evidence presented or some new context given that would perhaps convince the American public that this president had to be impeached.
Where does this move the ball now on impeachment? Does it go anywhere? I think if you were a Democrat who was looking for today to be the moment where you saw that crystallized, I think that Democrats probably disappointed.
Because of that performance from Mueller today, I think that lights a fire under the need to speak to the people on his team who actually did the work.
A lot of Democrats in particular used the D word and branded this a disaster.
On optics, this was a disaster.
You look who's winning now. It certainly seems like Donald Trump is winning.
Yeah, because he is. Joining us now is Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt, media reporter for The Hill, Joe Concha, and Fox News contributor Doug Schoen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here. Joe, I want to start with you because you're expert in looking at the media. I really think the media was, A, disappointed and just so frustrated they didn't get what they wanted. And when I saw Nadler and Pelosi do their press conferences, they were really playing to the media to try to say, whoops, sorry, we didn't produce what we said we were going to produce.
Yeah, I think Bob Mueller was a victim of his own hype by the media, by Democrats, supposed to be the unflappable statesman with gravitas, right, a command of the facts. And instead, as you saw, Jason, he was confused. He didn't even know many of the contents in the report that he wrote. And as far as disappointment, you're right about that, because this has been the fuel for the media over the last 2.5 years. Let me give you some stats. 8,500 stories on the Russia probe just by the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, and MSNBC. 530,000 web articles on Russia, Trump, Mueller, 245 million interactions, including likes and comments, shares on social media giants such as Twitter and Facebook. So not only were people disappointed in the media because they wanted this to be the next Watergate, they also knew that this was very good for business, and now the business is going away because after what we saw on Wednesday, that is the final chapter as far as impeachment, Mueller, and Russia, Jason.
Those are stunning statistics. I mean, the numbers are unbelievable. Now, Charlie, I would love to go back and take an analysis of all the Pulitzer Prizes that were won along the way and do an analysis. Do you think we're going to get many apologies from the media along the way, Charlie?
There won't be any number of apologies anywhere near the number of stories that Joe just listed out. And it is astonishing because all of those stories were based on fundamental lies peddled by Democrats. Remember Adam Schiff telling us again and again he had this evidence. There's evidence that the public doesn't know yet, but they all knew. All of that turned out to be lies. And, you know, when I got into the news business, 20, 25 years ago, I got into it because I believed in the truth and I believed in exposing people who were doing things that were wrong. There's something going on here where you have an alarming number of reporters in the national political media who have no interest whatsoever in exposing the truth. They're willing to take the direction of Democrats. They're so blinded by their hatred of Donald Trump. They will take any bogus story, hook, line, and sinker, and they will absolutely run with it to the ends of the earth in order to destroy this president. And even a few years ago, places like the Washington Post and the New York Times, you knew that they leaned left. But you also had enough respect for them that you knew that they were usually telling the truth or doing their best to tell the truth. They have forsaken any pretense whatsoever that they give a damn about the truth at all.
Doug, Jerry Nadler produced, and Adam Schiff produced no new witnesses and no new facts. Mueller said he was going to talk within the four corners of the report, and it didn't turn out the way they wanted to. Right. And yet they still can't decide as to whether or not they're going to pursue impeachment.
It sounded to me, Jason, like they wanted to move forward today. Now, I had two reactions. First, they should move on. Get off this. I want Democrats to win. I'm different from most of the people on this show tonight. I'd like Joe Biden to beat Donald Trump, but the only way to do it is give this up. Give up the prosecuting, investigating, turn to issues like climate, jobs, health care. There's the possibility to win there, and the polls out, the Fox News poll, very encouraging. But it's not going to stay encouraging unless the Democrats talk about what the American people care about, not what the mainstream media is doing or the left-wing politicians.
Joe, what do you see moving the needle? What will actually move the American people?
In terms of going towards or against impeachment?
Yes, because at this point, they seem to be in a meltdown, the Democrats. They don't know which direction they're going in and what they're going to do. And yet the media also can't figure out what direction to take this story because they had invested so heavily over the last 2.5 years.
Right. Yesterday, you follow boxing? That was a TKO that we saw on this story. The problem that Democrats have is that most polls show that 85% of Democrats want impeachment now. But independents, which Doug knows is very important when it comes to elections, right, exactly, and obviously Republicans are not on board. If you don't have the bipartisan buy-in, then you can't do it, but they don't know how to tell that to their base, to the AOCs, the squads, and everybody who watches MSNBC and CNN, that this thing is over because it can't be done.
Charlie, we've got just a few seconds left. What's going to be the message for the Democrats over the 6 weeks, the hot summer that's ahead of us?
I don't think it matters, quite frankly, because I think that this whole impeachment thing has become sort of like a zombie that Nancy Pelosi can't kill, and it's going to haunt all of them. And you watch, people like Jerry Nadler are going to get opponents, Democratic primary opponents from the left, accusing them of not pushing hard enough for impeachment, and it's going to be a slow.
I got to give Doug the last 10 seconds here.
Democrats, if you're listening, move away from impeachment. Forget it. It's a stone cold loser.
Charlie.